Hello. Today I want to build a multigrain patch that utilizes all 8 sounds available to us. We'll be using Metropolix to sequence our sounds to create some interesting rhythmic textures and patterns. I'm also going to show you an easy way to edit all the sounds at the same time to make this whole process smoother. So without further ado, let's get patching. We'll start with Multigrain's audio path, patching the stereo out to the input of C-Legs, which will then patch straight to the main outs through the stereo I/O module. I've got Digitakt here, which is going to provide us with a bit of rhythmic context, but it'll also give us our clock signal. We'll patch the audio for this straight through the case from the external inputs to the cue output. This way, we can quickly mute and unmute the drums with the source switch to hear Multigrain on its own when we need to. MIDI sync from Digitakt is going to MIDI 1U through the case, and we'll patch the clock and run out to Metropolix. We'll be using the unquantized 0 to 5 volt output from the sliders to select between the 8 available sounds on Multigrain. I've assigned this to output A on Metropolix, and we'll patch that into the select input. We'll then take track 1's gate output and patch that to Multigrain's gate input. The clock output from Metropolix will go straight to the case mult, where we can patch it to the clock input on C-Legs and the sync input on Multigrain. So that's the core of the patch, and we can always add more to it later on if we want to. Now we can turn our attention to Multigrain. I've loaded in 8 samples from one of the factory projects, all with initialized sound parameters. There's a mixture of melodic and rhythmic elements here, and I'm going to start by fine-tuning those melodic elements so that they fit together better. To fine-tune a sound, select it, press Alt, and then adjust the pitch knob. Adjusting the fine-tune is separate from pitch, and it should make it easier to keep our sounds in tune with one another. We can stay on the Alt page and switch between sounds to tune them. So now we're ready, we can press Exit to return to the home page. To show you how Metropolix sliders work with Select on Multigrain, I'm going to position them to play each sound in order. We can use the loopy function to help us with this. Press the loopy button, then press any stage button to preview the stage output. Now our sequence will play back each sound in order. I'm going to quickly increase the track division to 4 and then press play so that we can hear it. Okay, so now we've seen this working, let's try to build a pattern with a beat. To get us started, I'll bring that division back down to 1, and then I'll press play on Digitakt. So as you can hear, that's pretty chaotic with all the grains overlapping. Let's quickly tidy up all of our sounds. If I hold Latch and a scene button, the parameter changes that I make will affect all 8 sounds on both scenes. We'll start by reducing size. Then I'll change the shape to exponential to get more percussive sounds. Then I'll reduce rate and unlink it from size. I'm also going to set quantization for all sounds so that we can experiment freely with pitch. Long press the quant button to enter the quantizer, hold Latch to select all sounds, and then drop in the quantizer notes. And now all of our sounds are quantized to octaves and fifths. And remember, the quantizer is a per sound function, not per scene, so it's applied across all sounds and all scenes. So now when we use Ctrl-Alt to change the pitch, everything's going to stay in key. Okay, now let's try rearranging the sound sequence using the sliders on Metropolix. So I like how that sounds, maybe we should add some delay now. At this point, I'd probably record our sequence here to use later, but there's definitely more to be discovered, so let's keep going. How about we focus now on scene B? I'll move the morph fader across so we can hear it and so that the scene is selected. To make changes to all sounds on the selected scene only, hold latch and then adjust parameters. Changing the start point for all sounds on scene B is going to make it really interesting to use the morph fader. Sounds good. So now we can morph between that and scene A. I'll quickly mute Digitakt so we're just hearing multigrain. So as you can hear, there are plenty of spots between A and B that sound really cool. And don't forget, we can actually modulate the morph fader using the morph input if we want to. I might use tone on all sounds just to take out some of the low end, but only very subtly. Then we can bring that kick back in. Let's bring out the more granular sounds on scene B by reducing size and increasing rate. Currently, our grains are unsynced, which can create some interesting rhythms at higher rates. But now let's try syncing them to the clock instead. Press Alt, then press Sync, and immediately the grains have snapped into sync with the clock. But we've also lost our stream of grains, so let's fix that by increasing the rate further. So again, we find ourselves with some interesting spots across the morph fader. Another way to experiment with patterns is by switching out the samples in each sound. Select a sound, press Alt, select a folder, and then use the navigation buttons to switch between samples. Okay, so I found this guitar sample that I like. I'm just going to quickly fine-tune it so it fits in better with the rest of the sounds. Now, of course, I've shown you editing all sounds, but you can just edit individual sounds. So with this one, let's increase the size. Let's add some blur. By adjusting the play order and stage offset on Metropolix, we can rearrange our pattern further without upsetting our current slider positions. I've mapped these to control knobs 1 and 2, making it really easy to experiment with order and rotation. I'll bring in the hi-hat and clap from Digitakt to help you hear how the stage offset is affecting the rotation of the pattern. Let's break up the rhythm of this pattern a bit with the pulse count and gate type switches. To keep things consistent, I've set a pulse length of 16. In this case, that's the equivalent of 1 bar. This new rhythm allows us to open up the grain size a little more. We can spice things up even more on multigrain by assigning some modulation to parameters. So why don't we take a looping envelope from Quadrax to modulate some of the parameters on multigrain. And when on a mod page, you can use the latch and scene button combinations as mentioned to assign modulation to multiple sounds across both scenes. So that's all we have time for on this patch. There are so many possibilities offered here by Multigrain and Metropolix, and hopefully this should be enough to get you inspired to try some stuff for yourself. My top tips are to be experimental with your sample choice, remember to use Ctrl-All when editing your sound on Multigrain, and make sure that you save presets or record the output of your modular system when you're finding something that you like and want to keep. As always, thanks for watching and hopefully see you next time.